In today's video, we are going to break down the key components of designing and research proposal. If you are a student or new to research, this will help you understand how a proper research paper is structured. Literature review. The first step is choose a clear and concise topic. A good rule to follow is to keep your topic title under 20 words. This ensures your research remains focused and prevents you from becoming overwhelmed by too much information. Second step is identifying the gap. Next, we move to the search phase. Here, we explore existing studies not just to see what has been done, but to identify gaps by finding what is missing in current research. We can define our own research scope and show why our study is necessary. Third is placement. In terms of structure, placement is key. Depending on your specific guidelines, the literature review can be integrated within the introduction or placed in its own separate section. Its purpose is to bridge the gap between historical data and your current proposal. Research approaches. Finally, your approach to the literature must align with your research type, like quantitative research, qualitative, and mixed methods. Qualitative research uses the literature to align with respondent learning and human experiences. Quantitative research uses it as a formal framework to build and support hypotheses. Mixed methods require a flexible approach that depends entirely on your specific research strategy. Designing an introduction. This section explains what problem the study is focusing on. It clearly defines what is wrong, missing, or needs to be investigated. It is very important because it grabs the reader's attention and builds interest in the topic. Without a clear problem, research has no direction. Review of related studies. Next is the review of related studies. Here, the researcher summarizes and discusses what other researchers have found about the same topic. This helps us understand what is clearly known and what ideas or findings exist in the field. It also provides a strong background for the new study. Gaps in existing literature. After reviewing past studies, we look for gaps in the literature. These are the limitations, weaknesses, or missing areas in previous research. For example, maybe earlier studies focused on one country but ignored another or used outdated data. Identifying these gaps shows why new research is needed. Importance of the study. Now we explain the importance of the study. This part shows why the research matters. It highlights how the study will contribute to knowledge, solve a problem, or help future researchers. In simple words, it answers why should we care about this research. Last is research aim statement. Finally, we have the research aim statement. This clearly defines the main goal of the study. It tells exactly what the researcher wants to find out or achieve. A good aim statement is clear, focused, and directly connected to the research problem. Research questions and hypotheses. This helps guide the entire study and tell us exactly what the researcher wants to find out. Qualitative research questions. In qualitative research, the focus is on understanding experiences, meanings, and ideas in depth. Usually, researchers develop 1 to 2 central questions and 5 to 7 sub questions. The central question is broad and open-ended, while sub questions help explore different parts of the topic in detail. For example, a central question might be how do students experience online learning, and sub questions may explore motivation, challenges, and communications. Quantitative research hypothesis. In quantitative research, we use hypotheses instead of open questions. These are statements that can be tested using data and statistics. There are two main types, one null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. This says there is no relationship or no difference between variables or groups. Example, there is no significant differences in academic performance between online and offline students. Alternative hypothesis. This predicts that there is a relationship or difference based on prior research or theory. Online students perform significantly better than offline students. Mixed methods research. Finally, in mixed methods research, both approaches are combined. That means qualitative questions helps us understand why and how something happens. Quantitative hypotheses help us measure how much or how many. This approach gives a more complete and balanced understanding of the research problem. A clearly defined research topic is very important. It helps to shape the entire study. In fact, it guides us to key parts of research, the literature review, and overall research design. So, without a clear topic, the research may become unclear and unconfused. Main insight. A clearly defined research topic helps shape both the literature review and the overall research design. The introduction should clearly explain the problem being studied, why it is important, and the main purpose of the research. Research questions and hypotheses need to be consistent with the type of study being conducted. Finally, selecting an appropriate research approach is essential to maintain clarity and ensure the study remains relevant. Designing methodology. The data collection methods, the most widely used data collection approaches include quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. Quantitative methods. Quantitative research mainly involves survey and experimental designs. It focuses on addressing research questions and testing hypotheses through these methods. Both approaches are based on post-positivist assumptions and aim to examine relationship between variables. Survey design. A survey design offers a numerical description of trends, attitudes, or opinions within a population by examining a sample drawn from it. Based on the findings from the sample, the researchers make generalizations about the entire population. The main steps in survey design involve defining the target population, choosing appropriate survey tools, analyzing relationships among variables, and interpreting the collected data. Experimental design. Experimental design examines the impact of treatments or interventions while controlling external influences. It includes selecting participants, identifying variables, conducting pre and post tests, and applying statistical method to analyze the results. In this approach, the researcher randomly assigns participants to treatment, the control group, chooses an appropriate experimental type, and clearly outlines the design. This was my topic for understand. Thank you.